even today is a bit, well, it's a little nippy. The weather is not as hot as it ordinarily would be. But yesterday, it was pretty wet. It came with thunderstorms, the wind blew, and some trees fell. What can we expect? You've seen the footage. What can we expect in the coming days? Joining the conversation, we have Joseph Tete Potofi. He is Deputy Director Forecasting at the Ghana Meteorological Agency. He joins the conversation. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
It's really good to have you join the conversation. You know, yesterday I was here in the studio and I could hear the thunder, the rumble of the thunder. I mean, about 3 times. It was that loud and you could hear it. Now, you know how our studios are pretty soundproof and all of that, but I could still hear it very loud. And then we went out to certain places, Switchback Road, Airport. There were other places, Achimota, affected. Is this to be expected, the intensity of the wind, the rain, and what we're experiencing?
Yes, because of the intense temperature that we are having, any development that will come, especially when we have warm air rising, which we normally call updraft, when it gets up, it becomes very cold, heavier, and when it's coming down, it comes with a very strong wind. And that is what we experienced yesterday.
So in other words, the intense heat, of course, over time, because one thing I've noticed, usually when there's a lot of heat one day, you would see that getting to the end of that day or the next day, there's rain early in the morning. Is that what you're referencing?
Yes, because when there's a lot of heat, a lot of evaporation takes place. And when evaporation takes place, that water vapor goes up, and that is what forms the clouds. So if we are lucky and we have low pressure areas, we have converging zones, then definitely it's going to develop into a cloud, and then the thunderstorms, and then we'll get rain. Currently, we are getting a lot of moisture from the sea because the winds are southeasterly winds. So once you are getting a lot of moisture and there is a lot of heat, evaporation will take place, and then it will come on us and then form clouds, and then we'll have a lot of rain. So that's what you are experiencing now.
Right. And so as it stands now, we know that the temperatures have been pretty high. We can expect more high temperatures, right? Which would then mean that if the high temperatures come through as we've had them over the last few months, then likely we'll continue to see more of these rainstorms. Is that a correct, analogy to make?
Very well, it's very correct. But for us along the coast, once we start getting the rains, the cloud covers will be covering the sun. So the temperatures that as we experience in the, April and then early part of March and later part of April will come down. Those temperatures will definitely come down when we get into series of rains. But those of us at the northern part of the country, we should also brace ourselves for this strong wind, because the terrain there is savanna, it's very vast. So when you have a very strong wind, it can create a lot of problems for a lot of us. Fortunately for us in Accra, we have tall buildings. So yes, some of them can block the winds before it gets to another land ahead. So on the savanna regions, they should be very, very careful, because any storm that will hit that place will be very devastating.
Wow. Now, in terms of the intensity, this is not the first time in recent, weeks that I have seen you come to work and pretty early in the morning, it just clouds over and then it is raining. It is pelting from around 5 a.m., getting all the way till around 6 a.m. The intensity we saw yesterday and which we've seen in previous weeks, can we expect same or even worse?
Well, there is a possibility that we can expect the same over the coastal region. And in fact, this system that we are seeing moved all the way from beyond Nigeria 2-3 days ago, and we're tracking it. Fortunately for us, all the parameters ahead of this storm were perfect. We have the low pressures, we have the converging zone, we have everything. So once we have all those things ahead of the storm, it will be propagating. And fortunately also for us, we have a lot of moisture coming in from the Guinea coast. So there will be what we call daughter cells developing ahead of the storm. So once we have those things and we are seeing it, then it will move. And this storm will move all the way into the Atlantic. And some of these storms are the storms that goes to the Americans and things and create hurricanes for them. So they are very interested in our weather also. So there's a possibility that what we saw yesterday will definitely reoccur before we get out of the rainy season.
What then, before I come to you for your weather advice then, you've seen, I'm sure you followed the scenes from yesterday, different parts of Accra affected, like you can see in your shot. I was actually here at the Ghana Airport Company Limited where some vehicles had trees falling on them, destroying them. I mean, some were mangled. Now, you look at these, and what would you say for people who live in weak structures, buildings, all right, but they've been there for decades and may have some cracks here and there, people who may be in kiosks and all of that, ramshackle structures, those close to trees, and then those around billboards, for example, when it's raining, is it right to shelter in close proximity to a tree or a billboard? I just want your advice on some of these because yesterday we saw what we did.
Yes, I think when you look at the weather warning we issued yesterday around 5 a.m. before the rains, yes, we said a thunderstorm with strong winds. And if it was the aeronautic, we would have mentioned the speed of the wind. But for the general public, when I said it's a 30 knot or 60 knot, nobody will be able to comprehend it. But for the aeronautical purposes, we will state the speed of the wind itself. And this was issued around 5 a.m. Right. If we issue something like that, even before we get into the rainy season, when we did our seasonal forecast, we outlined some measures that the populace should take. You should reinforce your building. Make sure you call a carpenter in to come and reinforce the roofing sheet and everything. Now, if you have trees that, per mistake, buildings and structures have cut their roots off. Once the roots are off, that tree will not be able to stand firm. So any strong wind can bring the tree down. Then we also advise that if it is possible, they should trim some of the trees because when the leaves are many on the tree and the wind gets into the tree, definitely the force will pull, the force at the top will be bigger than the one at the ground, and then the tree will come down. Now, for billboards, yes, people should be wary of getting closer to billboards, getting closer to walls, because some of the rains, when they come, they push walls down, buildings collapse. But most importantly, when you know where you are staying in a flat-front area, place, we advise that whenever the rain is coming, move to a safe haven or a higher ground. At least the rain will stop and then you can come back to your abode. And then make sure that at least if you are living in the house, you put your valuable things on top of your building because you may not know. There might be flash floods or something and it will come into your room. And also, we are advising people that they shouldn't wait when it's coming to rain. Then they move out all their debris and then their rubbish and go and dump them in the gutter. You saw what happened yesterday. A lot of debris on the road. Yes, they are in the gutters. The gutters are made for water to pass it, but we have put solid waste into them. If the water could not pass it to rain, it will come onto the road. If it doesn't get it straight to the road, it will come into our homes. So we are appealing to everybody to at least be environmentally conscious and make sure that we do the right thing. Rains are very good. Unfortunately for us, we in Accra and some cities, our resilience level currently is very low. Those days, before Accra will get flooded or we get flash flood, it might rain for almost 3 or 4 or 5 days. Maybe you have 60 millimeters of rain for about a week before Accra will get flood. But currently, if we have 26, 30, 35 millimeters of rain over Accra, Accra will get flooded. So it means the resilience
but what explains that?
Dropped very drastically. Just because
Mr. Portafe,
we have invaded on the land, we have paved a lot of places, we have cement a lot of places, we have built houses in a lot of places. So when it rains, water cannot percolate into the soil. And once the water cannot percolate into the soil, it will run over. And when the drainage systems too are not very huge to contain, and we have we have silted them and to contain the running water, yes, to go into the sea. Then it will spill onto the roofs and into our homes. And that's why I'm saying that the resilient level of Accra has dropped drastically. So until we check all these things, yes, as for flash floods, big cities will have it. But it's the resilience and the things that they do that will not hamper any life and property. And that will also determine on how fast the flash flood will recede. So let's all try and then listen to at least the early warnings that will be given. And then when we give it out, we should make sure that at least we look at our surrounding areas and then make sure that we protect ourselves, our properties and ourselves.
Right. And two things you mentioned that the head of the Parks and Gardens mentioned. He mentioned that some of the trees, people build walls. For example, when you look at the Netherlands residents and the Italian embassy, that tree that fell at the Switchback Road, it's because its roots entering that place had been cut off, right? So the roots to three other angles were there. But that portion that was cut off, that was the angle from which the wind blew. And that's why it fell over there. So that point is to be made. There's a second point you made that just skips my mind. I think when I went to the Ghana Airports Company Limited, that also came to the fore. But I guess we all have to be cautious. So finally, before you leave us, what would be your weather advice? Final words on that. What can we expect in the coming days, this week, and in the coming weeks? And how should we prepare for it?
Thank you very much. For today, yes, we have a bright and sunny day over the coastal areas. However, in the forest and then the forest hilly area, from 2 p.m. going, they should expect some thunderstorms. But in the weekend, around the weekend, yes, we should expect some thunderstorms over the coastal areas, which will also bring a lot of rain down. And to the north also, Bokowa and then its environs, yesterday they have their fair share of the rain. And then we're also expecting that in the midweek, that is from Thursday going, they also get their rain. But for us in Accra, what I'm saying is we are in a typical rainy season. The rain has started. So all the things that we need to do to make us safe, we should make sure that we adhere to them. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tete Portofie. We are very grateful for your time. And that is Joseph Tete Portofie. He is Deputy Director Forecasting at the Ghana Meteorological Agency. He joined us, and like he says, well, today will be somewhat sunny and all of that, but we can expect as the sun continues to blaze up in the sky that this is going to happen from time to time. There will be evaporation, condensation, and the rains will come. And when they do, well, guess what? We're also going to have some of these happening from time to time. Billboards ripped to the floor, trees falling to the ground, trees getting felled, property getting destroyed. So let's all stay aware, right? Let's be cautious. When it starts raining, it's windy and all of that, take cover. Don't go and stand under any billboard or anything of the sort. It could collapse. And yesterday we saw that tree falling on a vehicle and also a poor motor rider. But we're going to take a little break and then come through with other stories, the Electoral Commission versus Imani, among other things. But have you heard? It's all about the fourth industrial revolution. It is here. But what does this mean for Ghana and Africa? Join global and local leaders to address the impact of technology at the first ever Industry Engagement Forum 2024 by Industry Immersion Africa in collaboration with the MasterCard Foundation Ghana and the Ministry of Education through the National Service Scheme. Be a part of this groundbreaking immersive experience. Now, the two-day event will serve as a pivotal platform fostering dialogue and collaboration in a bid to bridge the industry-academia gap, empower STEM graduates across Africa, and combat youth unemployment. Now, the theme is industry driving AI and 4IR, that is the fourth industrial revolution in Africa, collaborative pathways for digital transformation in Ghana. The date is Wednesday, the 22nd of May, and Thursday, the 23rd of May, 2024. Time, 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. each day. The venue is the UPSA Auditorium here in Accra. You can check out www.iiafrica.org for more information and to register as well. Our media partners, Joy 99.7 FM, Joy News, and www.myjoyonline.com. We'll take a breather. When we return, we're talking about those who have just turned 18. We're talking about the voter registration exercise. We're talking about Imani Africa taking on the Electoral Commission. We'll be right back.